Yep. Hey, looks like we're live. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Happy Tuesday. This is episode 2 of Attention Caregivers. So I'm Dawn Sullivan. I'm your host for tonight. I have my friend Katie De La Rosa on the other side. And we're here to talk tonight about positive self-talk and how you can really take better care of yourself with a couple of mindset shifts. And Katie's going to kind of walk us through that. But first, I wanted to just say this is episode 2 of Attention Caregivers, and my mission here is really to help the caregiver get support and to remember to take care of yourself when you're taking care of your loved ones, your family members, the people in your career, at your job, wherever it is in your life that you're giving. Don't forget to turn around and take care of yourself too. Super important. So Katie is also a Boston girl like me. Go Red Sox. And so Katie and I met a couple years ago. We were partnered with the same company. And so we met at a few different events and recently reconnected because Katie had this great idea of a way to collaborate with her women's wellness workshop, which we'll talk about a little closer to the end of this. But Katie actually responded to a Facebook post I put up about making some changes and being a little, insecure about making some changes, but knowing that commitment is really what I needed. And your response to that was, thank you for posting this. That's just what I needed to hear. And so I asked you what that was all about. And you told me that you were writing a book and had some really awesome stuff. So I said, you need to be a guest on my show because I'm starting something new too. And so that's how this collaboration came about. So Katie, tell us a little bit more about like what's going on with you. You talk about this idea of the book, but like where also are you in life? You know, you're a health and wellness coach, you're a teacher. So go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'm so welcome.
This is exciting, and I love that you're doing this a regular thing live so that people can really learn from you on a weekly basis. It's important just to be able to share what you're doing as well up there, which is great.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So, like you said, we were partnered with the same health and wellness company in the past, and that is sort of where my current journey started. I am now a mom of 3 kids. My youngest was born in June, and I do have a full-time job at a high school in Boston. But a couple years ago, I was working full-time. My oldest daughter was 3, and I was also going to school to get my administrator license. And I was just like burning the candle at both ends, like most people who are watching.
Like most caregivers, right?
Yes, exactly. I was, and that's just kind of how I thought it had to be in order to have success and to just get ahead or where it was that I wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really realize that I was not taking care of myself. I didn't know that was a thing.
Right.
And I was feeling miserable. I mean, I was like so tired. I was grouchy, and I just wasn't really feeling the joy in my day to day.
And you thought, what you said was you thought that was how it was supposed to be, right? You're a tired mom, you work full time, you got activities, responsibilities. Isn't this how you're supposed to feel?
Right. I was definitely like always looking towards like, what else do I have to do? What else do I have to do? It was never about being present with myself or, like trying to make sure that I was giving to myself as well as to the other things that I had committed to.
Yeah.
Like my family, my job, students at my school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that we have to learn that. It's interesting that we have to learn that. Right?
Yeah. And I feel like I learned it kind of late in the game, but I mean, better late than never.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about, maybe being a woman, being a mother, whatever. But, when you're in that position, it's so much after the fact, you realize I'm completely burnt out instead of like, oh, wow, this doesn't feel good. I should do something about it. And you don't really do anything until you're at the end of your rope. So Katie, what did you do that made a shift for you or brought you down a different avenue?
Yeah. So I reached out to a friend of mine who I had seen, who had 3 kids, full-time working. And I saw that she was sort of making some changes in her nutrition. And I thought that would be a great place for me to start. And it was fantastic. And it definitely changed everything, which is like amazing to even
Mm-hmm.
be able to say. But I was thinking about this earlier today. It was like, how did I go from just saying, yes, I want to take better care of my physical health to really learning about like overall wellness and mindset. And
Right.
it was through sort of like the personal development that I had access to, now that I was like, oh, I can take care of myself. And I started hearing about opportunities to like jump on calls and listen to people that were motivational and inspiring, one of which we both worked with.
Yep.
And yeah, that just like completely changed my mind about how life could be.
Yeah.
I remember clearly listening at least one night, and because that was what I used to do. I used to wait till everyone went to bed and that would be my time, but it would be super late at night, and it usually involved like a bag of chips and wine.
Sure.
And that was not effective self-care. But I remember listening and being like, oh my gosh, other people have felt the way I feel.
Yeah.
And learn, it's not something that has to be lifelong. You can actually change how you feel in your day-to-day life.
Yeah. It's never too late, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's never too late. And if you're sensing that things aren't working in your life, it doesn't matter if you're 25 or 45 or 65 or whatever, like there's shifts that you can make in your mind and in your body, right? The fundamentals of nutrition, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And things can really change for you. And so you and I had the same coach. We both went to a mindset coach, and I think we both gained tremendous personal development from using this coach's, coaching with him. And I think, part of his deal is like stories in your head. What are you telling yourself? Why do you do what you do? And really like breaking that down. And so was that a basis for you to like start on this journey of teaching, getting rid of the negative self-talk and figuring out a better way to take care of yourself and your mindset?
Absolutely. Yeah. I started realizing that the things that would frustrate me, or the things that would really get under my skin, were things that I was creating. Like, like somebody could say one thing and I would develop this whole story behind what it meant.
Right.
And what it, how it was going to impact me. And so working with him, and also then I started reading so much.
Yeah.
And going to different events and seminars for the past couple of years. And really I'm now able to, and I'm still a work in progress, which is,
we all are.
I love that I'm not yet where I'm going to be,
Right.
That's just like a really exciting idea. But through that, I was able to really understand that I get to decide what meaning I give to things, different events or situations that occur, that have occurred in the past, or that occur now in the present.
So that's super powerful and worth repeating. So say that again. So the power you have is what meaning you give to what's happening. So let's break that down a little bit for people who don't have sort of the language and the coaching that we have had. So stories from our past, we bring them with us to what's going on right now. And then what happens when you just have an interaction at work, or an interaction with your husband, or your whoever, a prospect or a client.
Exactly.
So then, go ahead, spell it out.
So I can think back to during that time when I was feeling so frustrated, I was like I said, I was in a leadership program, and I was giving. And there were times where I felt totally like nobody recognized it. I was unappreciated. Yeah. I was trying so hard. And then the story I created from that was that I wasn't going to be a good leader, that it was, I wasn't good enough, that wasn't, my path. Who was I to try to stand out or, grow?
Right.
I should just stay where I was. And anytime I did something and didn't get like a praise or high five, whatever it might be, that was not the other person's intent. They weren't saying to me, Katie, you can't.
You suck.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at all. They were probably overwhelmed in their own life.
Yep.
and we're just trying to make it the same way I was.
Yeah.
So, but it just, you get to decide, how do I want to look at the situation? And the way that I think about it now is I try to be more aware about like how I'm feeling in interactions. And so like, if I feel just about something, that's when I know, okay, there's something there. Let's try to like think about it differently. Let me try to approach it from another angle. And that typically I'm able, it doesn't happen right away, but
right.
I'm able to like think of alternatives.
Yeah.
Maybe that person, it just had their mind full of whatever that was going on for them. And, maybe I am going to be awesome at what I'm trying to do.
Right. Right.
Switch it around.
Yeah. And I think we learned through that, like, not to put our value and our worth on someone else's response to us. Right.
Absolutely.
And I want to just bring this back to the caregivers for a minute, because I know you're super passionate about that too. Caregivers, I know when I was a caregiver to my parents, I definitely felt like my value was that I was providing care to them. And then you really attach your self-worth to that. Yeah. And so when that situation is over, or, if you're a caregiver to children, your children grow up and move out of the house, when that situation's over, you're now left with like, well, what is my worth?
Right.
What is my value? And so we have been learning that we are just good enough by ourselves, like stand alone. We're good enough. We are enough. We don't need another person to make us good enough. And I know when you're in that caregiver sort of codependent role, for better or worse, if you chose to be as a career, or if you have now a disabled spouse, or, an aging parent who has dementia, or you're just happen to be in that role, your worth is really tied to that other person in that relationship, and you often feel depleted, right? And so to not get the attention and the feedback and the gratitude from the person you're caring for, from the world, right? It keeps you in overwhelm. It kind of can get you depressed, maybe some anxiety, but definitely burnout for sure. So if someone's in that situation, what are some things you could tell them that would just help them sort of incrementally sort of get out of that mind state that situation puts you in?
Yeah, that's it's definitely one of those situations that it's initially easier said than done, but I think it's one of those things that, like, with repetition, it becomes something that you can really live and breathe. And what stands out to me, or what comes to mind, is the phrase that you can't pour from an empty cup. And so, especially for caregivers, whether it be, parents, teachers, whoever it might be, when you are giving and there's nothing left to give, you're not doing the job that you wanted to do. You're not actually helping the people that you care about or love or want to serve. And so taking care of you is taking care of those other people. It's not selfish.
Right.
It's definitely not neglecting the other person who needs you. It's allowing you to feel great about yourself, first of all, but also, and in doing that too, you become a role model. Like, the other people that you care for, whether it be students or kids, parents, all those people, they don't want you to suffer.
Right.
They don't want you to be in a negative situation because you're taking care of them or you're educating them or wherever it may be. Like, nobody wants that.
That's not their intention.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's not their intention.
Even
though that may seem, that's how the energy is flowing all towards the person who needs the care, that's not the person who needs the care's intention.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to point out.
And I think so that actually leads me to sort of like how I came up with this idea of the phrase, be your own bestie. It's like,
yes,
how would your best friend want you to take care of yourself? Or how would you talk to your best friend about a situation they were in? You wouldn't tell them, give till there's nothing left. You wouldn't tell them you don't matter. You would tell them, no, you need to take time for yourself. You have to care for yourself. You're worthy. And you would say all these kind and loving things, but we don't do that to ourselves.
Right.
And
so true.
Yeah. I had seen it like somewhere in a meme, I think, and was like, oh my God, that is perfect. Like,
yeah. So that's now how you've branded yourself, and that's what you're working with now, the Be Your Own Best. So tell us more about that. So you definitely have been on the other side of be your own bestie, where you have some like, I'm not good enough. I can't get things to work. Nothing ever works for me, or whatever. And now you've learned some strategies that have helped you reframe situations and reframe your emotions. And now you're really living that be your own bestie role model, like you were just saying. So talk to us about that journey. How's that been for you?
It's definitely a journey. So the way I think about it is that there's, multiple areas of wellness. And so just continuously working on each of those, which are physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial.
Right.
And not, for a long time I neglected financial. And I think now my struggle is probably physical, having just had a child. So it's like we're always a work in progress. And we're not going to always have everything be at 100%, but to recognize that your whole wellness includes all of those pieces. And when something is not right, it's probably because one of those areas is not being cared for. Right.
So how could somebody recognize this, and somebody that feels like they're just in the deep black hole? How could somebody recognize that, those ladies are talking about me and maybe I should take a step back and do something? I remember, I wanted to say this story real quick. When I was taking care of my parents, who were both terminally ill, I remember a woman who was really trying to be kind to me said, can I just come over and take care, let you take a break and you can go get a manicure? And I was like, I am not going to get a manicure. How could you even say that? And I was just so offended. You think I'm going to go get a manicure right now? My mother is terminally ill. I don't want a manicure. Right. But she was out of the goodness of her heart, was trying to give me a break. And I couldn't see that at the time. Instead, I just felt angry at her. And she just was the brunt of my anger about the situation. I can now say 10 years later, but even receiving, we talked about this last week when I had Layla on an interview, receiving, can you talk about how it is to be receiving that goodness or positivity when you're not used to it?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely uncomfortable. I think it's one of those times when you just have to give it up and trust that this is for the best.
Yeah.
And give your control up, that when you come to a point, like you said, a dark hole, when you're at a point where it's really low, it's probably because you've spent so much time trying to do it yourself. And it doesn't mean that you can control how the help comes, and it might not be exactly what you need down to the letter, but you just have to sort of let go.
Yeah.
And
surrender. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I don't want a manicure, but I do want 30 minutes alone.
Right.
So yes, thank you. I will take the time. You don't have to do exactly how other people think it should look, but I think just being open, and that's actually one of the tips that I like to talk about with people is things are going to come to you, whether it be signs, synchronicities, messages, whatever it may be. There's things are coming to you, and it's just a matter of being open to them and just sort of trusting that something greater is at work.
Yeah.
So sometimes just say yes.
Yeah. Sometimes just say yes. Sometimes just say thank you.
Yeah. So you don't have to know what it's going to look like or what.
It's so true.
You just have to be, okay, there must be a reason for this.
Yeah.
Let's see what, let's go with it for now and see how it works out.
Those are some wise words. Sometimes you just need to be open and receive and let it go, let the control go, and not necessarily, be moving pieces around yourself, and have a little faith and trust that the universe is going to really take care of you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is not easy for all of us.
No, but if you can sort of remind yourself, when you feel like things are out of control, it's probably because you're trying to be too much in control.
Yeah. So what would your bestie tell you?
Exactly. Exactly. That's the
right.
message is what would somebody, your best friend, say to you, or what would you say to your best friend?
Yeah. Go take a walk for half an hour, go whatever. Yeah. Go take a break.
Yeah, chill out.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. I love it. So you have an event coming up in a couple of weeks,
Yep.
a women's wellness, Be Your Own Bestie Women's Wellness Day. I forget what you're calling it,
I call
workshop.
it a workshop.
Workshop. Yep.
Yeah.
So tell us about that. Who's allowed to come, or what can people expect if they come, and how can people get in touch with you to get there? And give us the deets.
So it's November 17th. It's a Saturday morning. It's in Norwood, Massachusetts, which is not too far from me.
Yep.
And it's basically just a couple of hours on a Saturday morning for women to come together and be interactive in taking care of ourselves, learning about taking care of ourselves. I want women to come out of there with some sort of a plan, like feel like they can actually put something into action. Doesn't have to be huge, but
yeah, I love that.
Some shifts that can happen in order for them, especially before the holiday season. I was like, I don't know if I can do this yet, but I think now is the perfect time because we're about to overstretch ourselves. So yeah, it's going to be a couple hours. Like I said, I think it's going to be really fun. And it's $25, but $10 of that goes to Cradles to Crayons, which is an awesome organization in Boston that helps children and families in need. And I have an Eventbrite, which you can find on my Facebook or Instagram.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. So are you going to be a speaker there? Are you going to have a couple of different speakers, or?
So I called it a workshop because it is really going to be I'm going to be facilitating the day or the morning. And then I'm also going to have people like yourself share.
I'll be there. I'm excited. I'm really excited, actually.
Me too.
It's going to be awesome.
Share what you're doing in the area of wellness, for you specifically with mental wellness. Yep. I'm going to have somebody there for the more physical side, actually 2 people. So just also having women who are working on this to be able to share so that we have shared resources.
Yeah. And I love the whole idea of, like you were saying, physical, spiritual, mental, emotional, financial, let's look at all the areas, because our life just has to be balanced in all the areas. And we can have great success in some and really be not doing so great in others. And it's important that those are all part of your well-being,
Right.
And so to be, great at a few of those areas and then have others lacking, we want to be able to help fill the gaps, right? Was that what you would say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Balance for sure. I think a lot of times, everyone has strengths in many areas. And so it's just about figuring out where it is you're ready to stretch and grow. Definitely.
What would you say the biggest, we just have a couple minutes left here. I want to just go and ask, in the work that you've done with women or people, what would you say the biggest sort of challenges or obstacles people are facing these days?
I feel like people say they don't have time to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
They don't say it like that, but they say, I have to do this. I don't have time. I can't figure out the resources. I think, and that's really what I think is going on right now, is we're all everybody's stretched really thin.
Yeah.
Trying to make ends meet, trying to be the best versions of themselves. It's just, I think the fast pace is wearing us down.
Yep. Lots of responsibilities and not prioritizing ourselves and our own health. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So Katie, people can get in touch with you on Facebook through Facebook Messenger.
Yep, that'd be perfect.
or through Eventbrite, and the event is called Be Your Own Bestie Women's Wellness Workshop.
Exactly.
Right, in Norwood, Massachusetts on November 17th. And I will be there with Katie. I will be sharing my mental wellness system and solution. And I know Katie's got some really top-notch first-class women there to meet. And we're all works in progress. Nobody has the answer. I think what I love about what you're doing is that you're just open to collaborating with different women that are maybe experts in a sliver of what's important, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So kudos to you for bringing women together in that respect.
Thank you.
Awesome.
You so much.
Yeah. So thanks so much for your time. I will be back next week. And I will have a great friend of mine who's doing a lot of work with a lot of alternative stuff, a lot of breath work, crystals, and some really, really cool new alternative stuff. So I'll be back next week with Jocelyn on Tuesday night. And that's a wrap for tonight. If anybody wants to get in touch with either of us, just go through Facebook Messenger, and have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.